Okay, you came in today for a specific reason.
Yeah, I don't
feel
remember.
like talking about
I
that?
don't remember what it was, though. That's the problem. The last couple of days have been a blur.
Do you want to get into it?
Yeah, we can get into whatever you want to get into.
You're QAnon baby daddy, right?
Well, something like that. Yeah.
All right, well, tell us.
So
how did QAnon... First, what is QAnon?
Nothing. That's to begin with. But all right, for the Q believers, I want to go ahead and say this, so I don't have to keep explaining myself. So the Q believers believe that there's a Q and then there's a non. That's not necessarily true. That's just something that somebody came up with whenever they started seeing that
the name,
the crap, wasn't for real. So somebody just pulled this stuff out of their butt, so to speak. Now, so there's been different ops that's went on in the past, and those different ops were to target the thought process of people. Basically, is what it was. So there's the what the masses know as QAnon now. Before that was Trace Anon. Yeah, that's how you say it. And then before that was Synanon.
Cinnabon?
Synanon.
Synanon.
Yeah.
Oh.
So this QAnon, this is not the first Anon.
Is that connected to the Southern Baptists?
Actually, Synanon was a religious cult. It was one of the first, not the first, but one of the first operations that was set up so people could learn so our government could learn how to use people's faith against them. Basically, is what it was. So, and it turned out to be a huge cult that eventually got shut down.
What do you mean use their faith against them?
Okay, so
the religious faith?
I didn't come up with the name Q or QAnon or the Anons or none of that. I was just in charge of coming up with the idea. So we were given a couple different things that we were to study. One was Mein Kampf, which is Hitler's playbook, the English version. And we were to target Christians. So what you want to do is you want to use the Christian faith. You want to use a lot of superstitions, so to speak. I'm not saying the whole Christian faith is superstitions, but you want to use blind faith, basically, to manipulate people into thinking whatever it is that you want them to think.
Pizzagate. Cannibalistic child molesters. You tie that to Hillary Clinton, Barack Obama, without any proof. And so that whoever is behind this, that's the skill.
So look, here's the way it is.
You have to dehumanize people, right? Well,
you have to. And whenever you go back and you look at the blood libels and the different tales of the blood libels and all that stuff, Hitler, for example, that was one of his ways of justifying killing all the Jews,
What do you mean blood libel?
Shed the blood on the ground, save the people, the bad people, whatever.
Trump, whoever handles Trump, whatever idiot that is needs to be fired to let him run out. If I was handling him when he went on stage, I would have the unit. I'd hand him a saw and have him saw a trap door. And as soon as he got off script, I would hit that trap door. Because he can't stop talking. And is that what he meant when he said, are poisoning the blood?
Yeah.
These immigrants are poisoning the blood of, I think the message was real Americans.
Yeah. That's exactly what that means. But you're talking about as far as the people handling him. Listen, he is what they need. It's all about divide and conquer, right? So whenever Q was first established, it was to target the masses, which were the people of the Christian faith, manipulate them into believing that they would have a savior that would show up and take care of them, because they were the masses. They still are the masses here in the country. So it was all a big manipulation. That was it. I mean, I know there's a lot of questions, and I can go into a lot of different things, but it was just made up.
The mass? You mean
well, 65%
the makeup of the country?
The 65% of the
Christian?
nation is Christian.
But of that 65%, how many do you think go along with all this? Overwhelming? I guess it would have to be.
No, probably about half. Probably about half, maybe a little bit less than that, because the far right, you know, you hear a lot of stuff on the TV about the far right, but the far right's only about 39 million strong, which sounds like a lot of people, but out of 362 million people, it's not that much.
So how many? Say again.
So the far right only consists of about 39 million people here in the United States. I think there's like 362 million here in the people in the United States. So 39 million sounds like a lot of people, but it's a small percentage of our nation. They're just loud. I mean, it's like what we've talked about before. The far right and the far left are the loudest. So, you all right over there?
Yeah, I was checking the lottery numbers. My bad. I'm going to be staying. I'll be staying to the end of the program. Right. What else you need to know? Okay. So, QAnon was like, it almost like burst onto the scene overnight to me.
Yeah, it did.
Never heard of it, and then, bam, Hillary Clinton has a pizza parlor in Brooklyn, New York. They don't serve pizza, they serve babies. Cannibalistic child molester Hillary Clinton engaged in sex trafficking and conspiring to take down the great American Donald J. Trump. Okay, if that catches on, do the people that start this fire, do they understand, good luck reeling that back in?
Well, who would ever thought that anybody would believe that to begin with? That's why I didn't mind doing it.
So what did you do? Where did you come in?
I came up with ideas. I'm the one that made the ridiculous stories.
Who? I assume you didn't do it on your own.
Well, no. I mean, it was ordered. My orders came from the commander-in-chief, so at the time it would have been Donald Trump.
So he calls you up and says, Philip.
Well, it doesn't work that way, but
okay.
Yeah.
But he couldn't have come up with this.
No, he couldn't have come up with this, but he had to approve it. He approved it. But he's not smart enough to come up with any of this stuff. Look, he's handled very easily. The people who handle him, they just stroke his ego. Boom, he's good for it. It doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't matter if it's creating something like QAnon. It doesn't matter if it's your numbers are too high on the border, so we need to pull some of the people out of the holding facilities and put them in trailers and kill them. It doesn't matter what the case may be. All they've got to do, it could be Operation Warp Speed, whatever the case may be. If they just tell him that you're going to turn out, you're going to be great, you're going to be the greatest president ever, you got to do this, he'll just say, okay.
This text comes in on the Advanced Rapid Medical text line, says, dude is slam blank crazy. They're talking about you.
Yeah, that's fine. I get this a lot whenever I talk about these particular things.
Somebody came up with this. I mean, somebody came up with elect me sheriff and I'll stop Obamacare. I mean, what's the difference? I mean, somebody came up with Scientology,
yeah.
And the guy's name was Ron.
Yeah.
Ron. And people followed him.
Yeah.
Ron had a driver's license. I mean, it's not like their Messiah was Jesus. Ron had a driver's license.
Yeah.
But people hear this about QAnon and they go,
oh,
this
get
dude
all
is nuts.
twisted.
Who would ever do this?
Yeah,
but
well,
it started.
Well, they think...
I mean, there were people that drank the Kool-Aid for Jim Jones.
That's exactly right. You know,
well, why do we have trouble saying, yes, I know Reeves, but not in this case? Why is it like that? Because there's a lot of people that feel that way.
Well, I mean, they've been sold this. They believe in it. I mean, they put their faith in it. See, that's the thing. even whenever a lot of things were proven wrong over and over and over again, people put their faith in it and they just follow blindly. Blind faith. If you can target somebody's blind faith, you can get them to do anything that you want them to do. You can show them over and over and over again that you're wrong, and they'll still believe that you're right. Because the technique is you tell someone a lie over and over and over again, okay, to where that lie was never the truth, but it becomes their truth. And whenever it becomes their truth and there's no evidence behind it, their truth is based off of a blind faith, which means you will never convince them that they're wrong.
Never.
They believe in it. A lot of people have come around from it because they've just seen stuff. I mean, none of it's right. Adrenochrome, right? There's still people to this day that run around saying, well, they're torturing little babies and torturing little kids so they can harvest the adrenochrome from their blood.
Look,
dude, that come from a 1998 Johnny Depp movie.
QAnon's flag, I guess official flag, is an American flag that's been defaced with a Q logo alongside the slogan that reads, "Where we go one, we go all."
Yeah.
Now, that's the Second Amendment rally in Richmond, Virginia, that I first saw this thing, and that thing went sideways. Where we go one, we go all. And it's an American flag that's been defaced. If you start poking holes, this thing looks like shredded cheese in 5 minutes.
Oh, yeah. It wouldn't take much. But see, like, whenever people ask about the team that I work with at Creative Q, it's not like we created
Create a Q?
Yeah, Creative Q. Created Q.
Okay.
QAnon. Whenever, okay, we didn't create everything that you hear now. We just built the foundation, put it out there, and just let the people run with it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and
then you manipulate their thought process as you go, and you'll have a lot of people say, well, we found evidence that this was true, that was true. No, you didn't. You found what you were supposed to find. So our government is great at pre-digging rabbit holes and then turning loose the rabbits that they want you to chase down a particular hole so you can find out what you think is a truth, which is really not. You're just being manipulated.
Here's some things. Okay, Phillip Drake is here. He's running for president of the United States. You're running independently, right?
Yeah.
All right. What's your website so people can find out more about you?
It's pdrake, 4, us.com.
So we're already getting texts again, and you said you're not surprised. People going, this guy's crazy. What's he talking about? It's hard to get your arms around this. I mean, it really is. Unless you look at how many people have signed up for QAnon. Unless you know the details behind Jim Jones, the Guyana tragedy. Unless you know about Epoch Media Group. Unless you know how it works in the echo chambers. Unless you know what it's like to be online and to have information funneled to you once they find out you have interest in the QAnon theories. Unless you believe that Hillary Clinton is chopping up babies and serving them up deep dish out of a pizza parlor in Brooklyn. Everything you get, all those, what do they call them? Algorithms are sending every bit of that to you. And you have Tucker Carlson, who finally got fired, but still, in the age we live in, he's got as big or bigger audience working in his basement right now. And people, my parents believe him. They trust Tucker over me. And they've known me for, maybe that's when it comes to, when it comes to lowering the bar, it's really raising the bar for trust. But you know what I mean? No.
Well, Tucker's done been caught in text messages and everything.
But it doesn't matter.
He puts in the text messages that he don't like Trump, that he's a blowhard, that like,
but
the man's full of crap, all this stuff. And then he goes back and people just.
It doesn't hurt him, nor does it hurt Trump.
No.
Explain that to me. You worked as a contractor for the U.S. government.
Yeah.
Right? You are skilled in the arts of espionage, and also, are you essentially like hold a master's degree in psychology? Do you know how the human brain works?
Yeah. Yeah. And
how does that work?
Well,
why don't I fall for that? Or why am I too stupid to pick up on it?
Well, I think you're too stupid. But
that explains it.
No, look, I'm not against religion, and I believe that people have the right to believe in anything that they want, right? But if you are going to be an extremely faithful person, you have to understand that you're always going to be a target. And you have to keep that in mind. Even the Bible tells you that you're going to be a target. So you have to keep that in mind, and you need to stop believing everything that everybody tells you because they want to manipulate you and they want to use you, period. So it's very, very easy to manipulate people whenever it comes to their religion or their faith. You just, no matter how asinine a story is, you just put kind of just a little bit of a spin on it to where they feel like it aligns with Scripture, and they'll go for it no matter how stupid it is. And it's intentionally put out that way. Let me give you an example. Since the beginning of time, it's been the end of time. Has it not?
Yeah. Look, dude, I was looking at inquiring about going to college, and I was told, why would you go to college? Jesus will be back within those 4 years. I was like, 4 years? I was talking West Tennessee Business College. No, but I was told that. I grew up in a Pentecostal church.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't know why I was inquisitive and asked questions. But I was told, don't ask questions. And that made me question the person telling me don't question things. I found it essential to read both sides of any argument.
Yeah.
And then use your life experience mixed in with reading both sides, and then make your decision on what you believe. If you can get someone to just hear your side and scare the snot out of them, because fear works.
Yeah.
Is this who was involved with this? Was the CIA, were they involved in QAnon? Yes. You're shaking your head. Yes, I think you may be going into a seizure.
No, not yet.
Is this the CIA using the techniques that they've used? They used to overturn governments in other countries? Yeah. Were they trying to overturn a government in their own country?
Yes and no. It's not. Here in the United States, you're not going to be able to create something like that and just have it overthrow the government. You're going to have to create something like that, and you're going to have to you got to continuously divide the people, right? It's all about division. That's how our country falls, and we're pretty darn close to that now.
Divide and conquer.
Divide and conquer. Yeah,
just happens to work. Ruling classes operated this way since day one, essentially, on planet Earth, right?
Yep.
This is nothing new. But now what's new is all the tools, social media, iPhones, iPads, distractions all over the place. People can't stand the moment. When you can't stand the moment, you can't think.
Well, that's it. And we're so divided. You know, a lot of people say, well, we're divided because it's the Republicans versus Democrats, but really think about it. That's not enough to make our country fall. So what they have to do is they have to create a far right and a far left, which are divided from the right and the left. So not only are we divided from the right and left, but now the right is divided into two and the left is divided into two, and we can't talk to one another. We can't have dialogue with one another. That's another reason why some people fall for a lot of these things that they put out there. It's because we don't communicate with one another. You only communicate with the people that think the same way as you. which is very dangerous.
We're back to, again, reading or listening to both sides of any argument,
Yeah.
right? So where do we go from here? We're going to go back and dig deep inside the numbers, flip it upside down and smell of it. Phillip Drake, you see, is running for president of the United States. Phillip, your website?
It's P Drake, the number 4, US.com.
P Drake and the number 4,
Yeah.
US.com.